Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Hello, and welcome to the No Fruit Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Maurice.
And this is Kafi.
We thank you for tuning in today. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone. This is your favorite podcast, Peoples.
That's right. We're here. We're back. And you're back with us.
And we are glad that you are here with us.
Yes.
So
we're still in this series.
What series is that? It's all about politics, right?
It's all about the politics.
So, and we're looking at it from different angles, as you most of you know, where the whole point of No Fruit Podcast is it's a place where Kafi and I can talk about our life experiences and whatnots with a spiritual twist to it, right?
Right.
So right now we are in this political season. I mean, literally everything is political.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I almost feel like even just going to the bathroom, I have to pick a party, type thing.
Got red toilet paper and blue toilet paper.
I mean, come on, y'all. Like, it almost feels that deep that we, and everything is politicized. I don't care what has been.
And it's all serious. It's very, very heavy right now.
Right.
So we hope that we can add a little bit of laughter to this situation and some joy to it all. But
right.
Yeah, Maurice, this week you got something special in the mail.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, my mail-in ballot. Yes. I'm like, what I get?
I did?
Like, huh? What was special about the junk mail stuff that we got this week?
Well, every day we get junk mail.
Okay, let's be clear. It's not junk mail. It is about our potential elected officials.
Right.
But it's junk mail.
But we just had a toilet paper shortage a couple months ago.
I know, right?
And I just find it quite ironic that they can find that much paper.
You're right. Yeah, that's really is ironic, huh?
They have that much. I think maybe they were using all of the toilet paper to make all of these postcards that we're receiving. Because it's every day we get a good 4 or 5.
Right, most definitely, and it's really tiring.
It is.
And one thing we're not going to do is tell you who to vote for, what to vote for, all that type of stuff on here. We try to stay neutral, okay? Because just like our prayer is between us and God,
right? That
ballot box is between me and who I'm voting for.
Well, I found that some people who are religious, maybe not Christian, but they don't believe in voting. So
that's interesting.
It is. So just thinking about that, is you're, telling people, hey, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for.
Right.
But there's some people who don't even feel as though they need to vote. And they have biblical background or some type of scriptural background to support that.
Yeah, and for those of us who study and whatnot, when Kafi had brought this topic up to me, it started to make me wonder, like, who really believes in that?
Right.
I understand that there is a quote unquote separation of church and state, where we know that's totally not true.
Correct.
Totally not true. But then the other part of that is looking at the religious sects, or however you want to look at it, or what you want to call it. It's interesting because in a lot of this it comes down to racial divides, or what you consider racial. So for an example, when people say Muslims, they really think that's just nothing but African Americans, right?
Right. But that's not even where the majority of them are from, having that background, or where they're even, started. So.
Right. So with that being said, they're one group that does not necessarily, per what in just my studies, they're not necessarily one that really supports the voting.
Right.
But on the other hand, the other part of that, and I brought up the African American side of this because, people just say, hey, Black Power, all that type of stuff. If you don't vote at all, then it's a vote for, whomever. Or
you often hear, if you don't vote, then you don't have a right to speak out or have an opinion, which I've always kind of had an issue with.
Right.
You're still human. You still pay your taxes. Then you should have a right to an opinion.
And so, after looking at this, you really wonder, literally how many people do not vote.
Correct.
And
like you said, you mentioned the Muslims. I noticed that Jehovah's Witness do not vote.
Right.
Some of the Amish brothers and sisters do not vote and partake in elections or the voting process. And again, some of them have interesting ideals that support that fact, that biblically, hey, we are not of this world. So therefore, we should not participate in some of the worldly things, if you will. So, for Jehovah's Witness, they don't participate in some of the, as you say, pagan type holidays, Christmas and all of those things. And likewise with voting, that's an issue. Some of them also feel as though it's kind of like you're idolizing someone because you're putting them up on a pedestal and you're asking them to kind of rule over, not necessarily rule over, but, have some power over others. And, it can be troubling. And I mean, if you really think about it, it can be. Most families or friends sometimes can divide upon this election, upon political ideals. Hey, I'm for taxes. I'm not for taxes. Hey, I'm for privatization of this. And, I'm for healthcare. And, so it just builds up a lot of, it can build up a lot of negativity, and that's not of God.
Right.
God doesn't want us to not love one another, and especially to the point where it's just over some political ideals.
Right.
So I think I can appreciate these groups for their thoughts on why not to vote, and that's their prerogative. But I've been voting for several years.
That's funny. That's funny. So here is, as we're talking about this, like something had just come across my mind.
I saw that.
I'm listening to you.
It was big.
But the thing is, this scripture comes, brother will deliver brother over to death, and the father his child, and children will rise against parents and have them put to death. That's from Matthew 10:21, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and the reason why I guess it had come across my mind, because as we talk about a lot of this political stuff, in all honesty, people thought it was going to be wars and things like that, but it's something as simple as these politics,
right,
that's really putting us against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, this scripture says it directly. Whereas brother against brother, parents against their children, this whole political vibe, because you see the young people out there doing the marches and things like
Right.
that, and our parents don't agree to it.
Correct.
And in all honesty, as you well know, Kafa,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm letting all of our listeners know, I was really, really concerned about my daughter going to school,
Mm-hmm.
living on campus, because I was concerned whether or not she was going to go out there while the marches and stuff. Because I didn't want her to get caught up in the nastiness of it.
Right.
And would that have, even because I did not agree with her going, would that have put her against me? Would that have put her say, well, Dad, we need to go out there and do something about it. Well, I think that you can do something about anything that's going on. But I think sometimes you have to be a little wiser.
Right.
I think that you do have foot soldiers. You do have people walking around buildings with trumpets blowing the walls down. I mean, that's biblical, So, when you look at that and listen to those things, yes, if you make a big enough sound, God will tear the walls down. But I do believe that some of these marches at this time have lost their thunder.
Mm.
That's what I believe. I believe that the message is no longer there. It's been watered down. It's diluted. So, yes, we do have to find another way to make change in this world.
I mean, I think some of it is because unlike 1950s, 1960s, where we didn't have as much media presence, you had a few stations, and that's where you heard what was going on through that news outlet that came on for an hour each day or whatever it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have 24 hours. We have, access to the internet. So even if you don't have access to network television, you still can receive this message and the images of the protest. So it doesn't seem to show up on our nightly news. It doesn't seem to show up on our local news because it's not news anymore. It's not the new hot, sexy topic, tagline and headlines. Other things are popping up, so
Right.
for everything, it only lasts but a few days and then it's gone and they move on to the next story.
Right.
But what they reported on 2 days ago is still happening. But they, in order to capture our interest, we don't want to seem to hear that, hey, they're still out there protesting.
Right.
We don't want to seem to hear that, hey, this number of things happen. If we just heard about it, I think after a while, the story runs out and then they have to bring something else up. And then they may find a way to link that back to the story that they had 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to keep providing that information. It's, if I guess there was we have a sports network,
Right.
And depending on your sports network, it could be just all basketball or it could be
Right.
all just football. And you can hear about football all year round. And it's all, the story sometimes repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what happens on our news stations. I think they kind of try to find new stories, new people perspective. You don't see the same thing over and over again.
I think the difference with that, I'm sorry, just real quick on that topic,
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference would be that the sports topics in reality, because they're almost like so far between each other, let's just say, for an example, the NBA games, this season, especially to the playoffs and the championship, they were 2 days apart. Games were 2 days apart, right? So when the pundits, need something to talk about. Like, what are you going to talk about for 2 days?
Right.
Versus the news, even though I think they have a hard time trying to break news, or trying to one up the next channel type
I think
thing.
that's a lot of what it is.
But
the politics of that.
Right. But I think that every day there's something else going on. So for those of you who are on a Citizens app or any type of other app that gives you information what's going on in certain neighborhoods. So for an example, I'm on the Citizens app and literally I get 2 to 3 updates a day about how many new coronaviruses are popping up in the city of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when I see that, it makes me a little more paranoid about it. In all reality, because it's hey, are we really paying attention to what's going on? Mm-hmm. And we're so consumed with trying to become normal. And I think we're only worried about becoming normal so we can vote. Mm-hmm. Because I think once we have this vote or this election on November 3rd, the United States will be locked down again. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that.
Right.
And reality, if they shut it down, that's when the stimulus package stuff will come out. Because they're going to need these businesses to grow, still have some money.
You have to go through the holidays.
Right.
And
so what they're going to do is they're going to send out the money, know that you're going to put it right back into circulation, mm-hmm. which in reality, it should to some degree. Don't get me wrong. I don't want no one to take this out of context. I understand that there are some people that need it for their rent, mm-hmm. like they need it for a purpose. Life-sustaining purposes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But those persons who are spending it, I would prefer for you to spend it wisely, not throw all $2,400 away, but if you spend it wisely during the holiday season, meaning buying food, is that helping out the farmers? You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Buying, if you're going to go through the Christmas season and you want to support, buy stuff for your kids, just make sure you buy it from maybe some local businesses. You get what I mean? Smaller businesses. I'm sorry.
Check out Amazon and pick up some no fruit merchandise for the holiday.
Oh, yes. Let's not miss that opportunity.
Not at all.
So you can support a small business.
Minority owned.
The Positive Energy T-shirt shop. And it's on Amazon today. Google the Positive Energy T-shirt shop. And you'll come up with either the Amazon store or the official website, which is positivenrgshop.com. Positivenrgshop.com.
Great.
And we have not just No Fruit Podcast shirts, but we also have That Will Never Work podcast shirts.
And much more.
Very much so. Unicorn Island, Masterpiece for the kids, various things for t-shirts, sweatshirts. You'll find a little bit of everything for a little bit of everybody. Okay. So make sure that you go and shop there from now until February.
That's right.
Right. So, but as I'm stating, once you get that stimulus check, support local businesses, support the small businesses, not these that are really getting corporate bailouts per se.
Or those that, unfortunately, if you really follow the dollar, which people have been saying, as of right now, those large companies, not going to name them, but a lot of them are owned by very wealthy people, right, that support some of our political candidates. Some of them who are in politics have stocks and have shares in some of these corporations. So, yes, they want to provide you with little extra pennies so that you can then go and spend it, and then they can reap the benefit for the end of the year, and they can get their dividends and all of that great stuff.
So, and let's be 100% real and honest. As we just stated in our little infomercial, to go to Amazon, right?
Yes.
And purchase our merchandise. Yes, What's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name. I just had a blank. But what's his name? Yes, he is rich. He's worth billions on top of billions and top of billions. Because I don't know how many billions he's really worth right now today. But someone like me, in order for my product to get out there, have to utilize some of these larger companies to be seen. And so I want to be honest and real about that. Like, I don't want to take away from some of these conglomerates that's out there, because some of them are allowing some of us small business owners to excel, succeed by using their platform.
So overall, we have to support and help one another.
Right. Overall, yes.
Overall, because
that might be the only way you can support some of them is by going by some of these bigger box stores, because it allows them to become a national organization versus just a 3-block radius.
But I think overall, make a conscious effort.
Right.
Make a conscious purchase. Know a little bit about whom you're purchasing from.
Right.
And where perhaps some of those dollars are going to, especially if you are using funds that the government gave you. Like, really think about how they wanted or they thought you were going to use those dollars. Some of the things I was thinking about in reference to just those who don't vote and have whatever reason. Sometimes people give up the reason of, well, I don't like either candidate that's running, so therefore I don't choose to vote. So, Maurice, you got your ballot and you saw that, hey, there's another person there. You don't have to choose between two. There's another person that's running for.
And what did I say to you when I saw that? I said, there's another person there?
Yes.
And
I said, oh, it's Joe, okay, that's, I guess you can vote for him. And then my kids said, Mom, that's a lady. And I said, well, that lets you know how uneducated I am.
Right. And that's because we're not given that type of information.
Right.
It's not in our face.
So for us to make that conscious decision and that conscious vote, if you will, for those who are going to vote, that you have to do some homework. And, I was thinking about this, like all of the things that we've gotten in the mail, like you said, you have citizens apps, you have all this stuff, but nobody's really putting out there information about all of the candidates, all of the, even going down the ballot, all of the other offices that we have to vote for and put somebody into these positions, from state rep to, attorneys and so forth and so on. All of them are important. And especially when it comes to some of our local government and some of the local things that happen in our judicial system, things like that. Like, if I get a ticket, it's not because, I can go to the president and say, hey, the laws and things that you put into place. But no, I'm going to my local courthouse. And so I think we need to really, really emphasize to people that it's very important that those who are going to vote, that you think about the entire ballot. It's very, very important.
How important is it, Kafi?
It's very, very important. And then I think one of my other questions for you real quick is, do you think it's, a lot of us vote, and we've already established that there are some religions and some people who are believers that don't believe in voting because of various reasons. But for those who do vote, do you think it's a civic duty, or do you think it's your religious duty?
I really believe that comes down to the individual's community.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when I say community, you have to take a look at first their individual household, next their block, then community, and then whatever other organizations they may be a part of, whether it's church, synagogues, temples, fraternities, sororities, work affiliations, clubs that you was in, what college did you go to? What clubs you was a part of in college? So I think all those things, home and school associations, the swim club, you have
it goes
so
on
many,
and on.
right. So when you start to think about that, I think it comes down to what the individual is influenced by to say whether or not it's a civic duty or otherwise. Because as you're stating that some religious, even doing the research though, it does state that even though these organizations or these religious parts had not been voting, but most recently they have started to turn into voting. So like the Muslims, they said after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away, that they started voting.
Okay.
So it's not like they stopped, they haven't been, but, I think certain moments, because even they said, even some of the Jews and it was another group said that they have been voting for a while, even though it's really been against their beliefs,
their core belief.
But they have been. So is that a religious? Is that a civic? Or is that a self-interest? Because I think when it comes down to the last few years that I can remember, now let's be honest, I've been voting since when I 18, which would have been mid 90s. So so in the mid to late 90s when people were talking about Bill Clinton and things like that, I didn't have much skin in the game to say, hey, he is my civic duty to go vote. It was just like, go vote.
Right.
And then I don't think, for me, and this is just personal, I don't think it had become more of a community-based civic thing until Obama, because it had become more of a, hey, not just a Democrat, but he's a minority running, right? And this, is he going to be the for what he was standing for? A lot more people supported him than they have others in the past, i.e. Shirley Chisholm, Dick Gregory, Jesse Jackson. I forgot the other young lady who had gotten real close. I can't remember her name. I'm drawing a blank. So we've had plenty of African Americans run. Even this year, when Andrew Yang or some of these other persons, had campaigns, that could have had a shot. So was it a civic or religious or, duty? I think it really comes down to your own self-interest and whether or not they support the ideals that you want. So.
And again, that comes back to that conscious effort, and you being conscious of who you're voting for and what, like you said, what ideals they have.
Right.
And what they're going to stand for. Now, we all know politicians sometimes say one thing on the campaign trail.
Right.
But then when they get into office, they have to pay their dues.
Right.
To all those who help them get to where they are.
Right. So
sometimes it's not always in alignment with what they said while they were campaigning. I'm like you. I think it depends on the person. But again, biblically, we do have a duty to lead. And to, as you said, help our brothers out so that they're not led astray.
Bamboozled.
Right. We have to, just help things out. Now, we can't judge them, but we certainly can pray for them. And the Bible does tell us that we need to pray for our leadership. Ultimately, God put them there. We don't understand how sometimes things happen. But God has a purpose and a plan for all of it. And so when they're in office and when they are leading the country and leading the government, then we need to pray for them and hold them up in prayer.
Right.
So one other little thing I want to say real quick before we head out, just a few updates for all those who are listening. If you are looking to vote, remember that Tuesday, November 3rd is Election Day. Here in the state of Pennsylvania, our election polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. If you want to register and you have not done that yet, it's still not too late. Registration for this year's election is open until October the 19th. Again, October the 19th is the deadline for election, so you still can register. Then on October the 27th, for all of those who are doing early voting, the early in-person deadline is October the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
For persons like my dear Maurice, who has mail-in ballots, they're saying get those in as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
I know.
Now, one thing I did see on one of our citizens apps, make sure that you fill the outer envelope correctly. They've been noticing that people have been signing them and putting their date of birth. And you should sign it and put the date that you're signing it.
Well, I knew how to fill it out from when I filled it out for the last election.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So they're saying that
I did not put my date of birth on there.
Okay. My grandma almost did. So
I can't remember what it says offhand.
It just says date.
Oh, but it doesn't say date of birth, date of death.
It doesn't say date of signature. It doesn't say today's date. It just says date. So you don't know what date they're talking about. Could be thinking about anything. So it asks for your address. It asks for your signature. It asks for you to print your name. And then for some people who are just used to putting out that information, if I'm giving you my name, then I'm giving you my DOB, date of birth. So
someone who put on there, I signed it September 4th, 1952.
Yeah, you won't get counted.
Oh, okay.
It goes bye-bye.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be very interesting as well, what happens with all of those that did not properly fill it out. Then also, one quick last note is that poll workers are still needed. As we all know, most of our poll workers are senior citizens, and that this COVID-19 coronavirus is still running rampant. As Maurice said, the numbers are still coming out and either going up or staying somewhat steady. So some of our seniors are not willing to go out and work 10, 12 hours throughout the day and serve the community. So they are desperately looking for individuals to come out as poll workers. Of course, this is a paid position, and it is a great way to meet your neighbors, meet your neighborhood. So we encourage anyone who is interested in that. I'm sure you can Google it and find more information for what's going on in your neighborhood. If they need poll workers and where you can register for that. That's all of my announcements for today, for the church announcements.
And that's it?
That's all the church announcements for today, yes. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. One more thing. I forgot. October is also Pastor's Appreciation Month.
Yes.
So I want to give it up to my pastor, Maurice Chisholm. God bless you. We love you. He is the pastor of our household. So we thank and we praise God for him and his leadership and guidance for our family.
And I would like to thank my new parishioners. It's like, no, come on, stop playing.
So again, it is Pastor's Appreciation Month. Hopefully you don't forget about it. Go find them something and send something to your pastor. Let them know you appreciate them even during this pandemic time.
More especially this pandemic time, because we have a lot of pastors who, I don't want to just say pastors, because I think all of us are dealing with some type of mental fatigue right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think pastors are getting it a lot harder in some cases, because they're not just dealing with the physical, they're also dealing with the spiritual. And that can be a little taxing. That really can. So like Kafi said, think of your pastor, one day send flowers, send a card, send a happy birthday.
It's not doesn't have to be their birthday, but just send them a happy birthday card.
Yeah, right. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Because something like that, even if it's not their birthday, they look at him like, yo, what in the world is this? I mean, some people, depending on your pastor, they might laugh and joke with you on that, So sometimes you need something that's going to be like, what in the world is this, to make things, lighten up. So, and because we're dealing with a lot of deaths and, still and whatever, just help lighten the load some way, somehow.
Yes.
Okay, y'all. So we thank y'all for listening to us tonight. We thank our church announcer, reader person.
Oh, you're welcome.
On the daily announcements. And now we will have the selection by the choir and then the benediction by the no-name person who closes us out on the podcast. Okay, y'all?
All right, we're ready.
We thank y'all very much for tuning in.
We're resting on our feet.
And, for those who want to give an offering, be sure that you like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure you share this podcast with all of your friends. Okay? That's how you can pay us.
That's right.
All right? So it'd be very easy to give out a Cash App, but no, we ain't doing that. So, but we thank y'all very much for coming out, and we will tune in next week.
Yes. God bless you all. We love you.
And now for the benediction.
We didn't even do the song yet.
Huh?
You said the choir was singing first and then the benediction. Are we doing a benediction, then the song?
We're just going to go straight to the benediction.
Okay.
Peace out, y'all.
Bye-bye.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.